The classroom floated in orbit above Sanctuary 7, a peaceful world that served as the heart of the Galactic Defense Academy. Through the massive windows, students could see 3 different suns, casting their light across the station's white metal walls. Inside room 47B, 20 cadets from different species sat in chairs designed to fit their various body types. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few were made of something that looked like living crystal. Professor Minho stood at the front of the class. He was human, wearing the simple gray uniform of an academy instructor. His hair was starting to turn gray at the temples, and his hands showed old scars that spoke of a rough past. He looked at his students with calm, dark eyes that had seen many things. "Welcome to pre-industrial warfare and survival tactics," Minho said. His voice was steady and clear. "Most of you chose this class because you needed an easy elective. You think this course is a joke." Several students shifted in their seats. A large reptilian named Scrath made a hissing sound that might have been a laugh. His green scales caught the light as he leaned back in his chair. Next to him, an insectoid creature called Clakther clicked his mandibles in what passed for agreement among his people. 3 human students sat together near the back. Yuna was small and quick, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Taiyang was tall and moved with the easy confidence of someone who knew his own strength. Hana sat quietly, watching everything, her face showing no emotion. "For your final project," Minho continued, "you will create a weapon. But there are rules. You cannot use any modern technology. No metal from factories. No manufactured materials. Nothing made in a lab or printed by a machine. You must use only what you can find in nature." Scrath raised one clawed hand. "Professor, with respect, my people moved past such primitive methods 4 million years ago. We evolved natural weapons. Why would we need to make crude tools when we have these?" He extended his claws, each one as long as a human finger and sharp as razors. "An excellent question," Minho said. "We will explore that answer when you present your weapons next week." A crystalline student named Vel spoke next. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. "My species shaped stone through resonance before we achieved space travel. But that was 10 million years in our past. How does this help us defend the Allied Galactic Council today?" "Next week," Minho repeated. "Make your weapons. Then we will talk." The class ended with most alien students grumbling. They walked out in small groups, complaining about the waste of time. Only the 3 humans remained behind for a moment. "Same assignment as last year?" Yuna asked the professor. Minho nodded. "They never learn until they see it." Taiyang smiled. "Should we go easy on them?" "Would anyone go easy on you in a real fight?" Minho asked. "No, sir," all 3 humans said together. "Then show them what we are," Minho said quietly. The next week arrived quickly. Students filed back into room 47B, many carrying crude objects wrapped in cloth or held in cases. There was an excitement in the air now. Even the students who thought the assignment was stupid had enjoyed the challenge of making something with their own hands. Minho stood beside a long table at the front of the room. "Please bring your weapons forward. We will examine each one." Scrath went first. He unwrapped his creation with obvious pride. It was a knife made from bone, serrated along one edge. The handle was wrapped in dried plant fiber for grip. "I carved this from the leg bone of a large animal," Scrath explained. "It took me 3 full days. The edge is sharp enough to cut through thick hide." Minho picked up the knife and examined it. "Good weight. The serrations will cause more damage." "Well done." He placed it on the table. Clakther presented next. He had built a simple trap using sticks and cord made from plant material. Sharp stakes pointed upward from the bottom. "A pit trap," the insectoid explained. "Dig a hole, place the trap, cover with light branches and leaves. Prey falls in and cannot escape. Classic and effective. Minho agreed. VL showed a stone hammer. She had shaped one rock by striking it with another rock, then attached it to a wooden handle using more cord. The repetitive striking motion was meditative, she chimed. I understand now why primitive species found peace in such work. One by one, the alien students presented their creations. There were clubs made from hardwood, slings made from leather and cord, spring traps that used bent branches to catch small animals. Each student had put real effort into their work, and each creation showed genuine thought. Then it was time for the humans. Una stood and walked to the front. She carried a long, curved piece of wood. When she unwrapped it, the other students leaned forward. It was a bow, but not like anything they had seen in historical databases. The wood curved gracefully at both ends. The string was made from twisted animal sinew. In her other hand, she held 6 arrows, each one perfectly straight, with stone points at one end and feathers at the other. This is a compound bow, Una said. She spoke the way someone might talk about the weather, casual and easy. The wood is from a flexible tree. I treated it with animal fat to keep it from cracking. The string is sinew from a large animal's leg, twisted and dried. The arrows have stone points that I shaped by chipping away small pieces. The feathers on the back make them fly straight. She walked to the far end of the classroom, a distance of about 50 meters. At the other end, Minho placed a target on the wall. Una drew the bow, her movement smooth and practiced. The arrow flew across the room and struck the center of the target with a solid thunk. Before anyone could react, she had fired 5 more arrows. Each one hit the target. The last 3 formed a tight group in the center. Scrath stood up. That's impossible. No one can fire that fast with that kind of accuracy. I made my first bow when I was 10 years old, Una said simply. I've been practicing for 12 years. She sat down. The classroom was completely silent. Taiyang went next. He carried what looked like a stick with a hook on one end. In his other hand, he held several thin spears, each one about as long as his arm. This is an otlot, he said. A spear thrower. It uses leverage to extend the human arm's throwing distance. He demonstrated by placing one of the small spears against the hook. With a smooth motion, he threw. The spear flew across the classroom with tremendous force, hitting the wall and sticking deep into the padding meant to protect the station's hull. Throwing distance, about 80 meters, Taiyang explained. I have 3 different types of spear points. These wide ones are for hunting large animals. These narrow ones can punch through armor. These barbed ones are for fishing. He pulled out a small tablet and showed calculations. The atlotl effectively increases arm length by 30 centimeters. This creates a longer lever, which means more force applied to the spear. More force means more speed. More speed means more distance and impact. Minho nodded. When did you build your first atlotl? Age 11, Taiyang said. My father taught me. Finally, Hana stood. She brought forward what looked like a collection of sticks, rocks, and cord. The other students couldn't see how it all fit together. She began assembling it on the floor, connecting pieces with quiet efficiency. When she finished, they saw a complex trap system. A rope trigger connected to a deadfall weight. When triggered, the weight would fall and also pull another rope that released a bent branch. The branch would snap forward, launching a sharpened spear. The whole thing could reset itself using a counterweight system. This trap can be hidden under leaves and dirt, Hana explained. It can wait for days or weeks. When an animal steps on the trigger, the trap activates. The design allows it to reset automatically for the next target. One person can set up 20 of these in a day and cover a large area. She paused, then added, I built my first trap when I was 9. It caught a rabbit. The alien students stared at the weapons on the table. Students brought clubs, slings, crude spring traps. One reptilian proudly displayed a serrated bone knife. But the humans had brought something else entirely. These weren't just weapons. They were systems. They showed understanding of physics, biology, material science, and engineering. Scrath looked at his bone knife. 3 days of work. He had been so proud. Now it seemed like a child's toy next to what the humans had created. These humans made these as children? Vel chimed softly. Yes, Minho said. He walked along the table, looking at each weapon. Now, let me tell you why this matters. Let me tell you about Earth, and about humanity, and about why we think differently than you do. The lesson was about to begin. Professor Minho dimmed the classroom lights. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, floating in the air where everyone could see it. The display showed a blue and green planet rotating slowly. White clouds swirled across its surface. It looked beautiful and peaceful. This is Earth, Minho said. The human home world. The alien students leaned forward. They had heard stories about Earth, but few had actually seen it. The planet looked pleasant enough. 3 large continents, vast oceans, polar ice caps. It seemed no different from hundreds of other inhabited worlds in the galaxy. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, Minho continued. Only 3 other known inhabited planets score higher on the danger scale. Of those 3, 2 developed space travel by abandoning their surfaces entirely and living in the oceans. The third developed a hive mind that allows instant communication across their entire species. The hologram changed. Now it showed various creatures from Earth. Large predators with massive teeth. Snakes with venom that could kill in minutes. Tiny insects that carried deadly diseases. Plants that could poison or trap animals. The ocean showed creatures with tentacles, sharks with rows of teeth, and fish that generated electricity. Everything on Earth is trying to kill everything else, Minho said quietly. The large animals hunt the small ones. The small ones carry diseases that kill the large ones. The plants poison the animals. The animals eat the plants anyway and evolve resistance. Then the plants evolve stronger poisons. This cycle never stops. Scrath raised his hand. But Professor, my homeworld also has predators. We evolved from hunters. We developed our claws and teeth through millions of years of evolution. Exactly, Minho said. He pointed at Scrath. You evolved natural weapons. Your ancestors who had sharper claws survived better. They had more offspring. Over time, your entire species developed those weapons. Evolution gave you what you needed. The hologram changed again. Now it showed a human figure, rotating slowly. The image highlighted different parts of the body, showing measurements and statistics. Humans have no natural weapons, Minho said. Our teeth are flat and weak. We cannot bite through thick hide. Our jaws can barely crack bones. We have no claws. Our fingernails are soft and break easily. We have no venom, no spines, no armor plating. Our skin is thin and tears at the slightest cut. He continued listing human weaknesses. We are not fast runners. On Earth, 70 different species can run faster than the fastest human. We are not strong climbers. Monkeys can climb better with one hand than we can with two. We cannot swim as well as fish or dolphins. We cannot fly. We cannot burrow underground quickly. We cannot camouflage our skin. We do not have good night vision. Kleikther clicked his mandibles. Then how did humans survive? You sound like prey animals, not predators. We were prey, Minho said. For most of human evolution, we were hunted. Big cats stalked us. Bears attacked us. Wolves hunted us in packs. Crocodiles dragged us in the water. Snakes bit us. Insects gave us diseases. Even other humans hunted us. The hologram showed early humans running from predators, hiding in caves, huddling together in fear. The alien students watched with growing confusion. These primitive humans looked nothing like the confident species that now helped lead the Galactic Council. So we made tools, Minho said simply. The hologram changed. It showed a human picking up a rock. The human used the rock to crack open a nut, then to dig for roots, then to defend against a predator, then to shape another rock into a sharper tool. The humans who could use tools survived better, Minho explained. The humans who could make better tools survived even more. The humans who could teach others to make tools ensured their children survived. Generation after generation, tools became more important than teeth or claws. The hologram showed the progression. Simple rocks became shaped rocks. Shaped rocks became knives. Knives became spears. Spears became spear throwers. Each new tool made humans more effective. But here is the important part, Minho said. He paused and looked at each student. Evolution takes millions of years. A species needs countless generations to develop sharper claws or stronger jaws. The tools can be improved in a single generation. A father teaches his son to make a spear. The son makes it better. The grandson makes it better still. In 3 generations, humans went from simple stone tools to complex traps and weapons. Yuna spoke up from the back of the class. My grandmother taught my mother to make bows. My mother taught me. I make them better than both of them did. Exactly, Minho said. Each generation of humans didn't just inherit tools. They inherited knowledge. And knowledge grows faster than any biological evolution. The hologram now showed a timeline. It stretched back thousands of years. The alien students saw humans spreading across Earth. They saw settlements, then villages, then cities. They saw wars. So many wars. Humans fought constantly, Minho said. We fought over food, over water, over land, over resources, over ideas, over gods, over honor. We fought our neighbors. We fought our relatives. We fought ourselves. For 10,000 years of recorded history, humans have been at war somewhere on Earth. Vel chimed in, her voice troubled. But war is wasteful. War destroys resources and population. Why would humans fight so much? Because we were good at it, Minho said. Remember, we evolved making weapons. Fighting wasn't just what we did. It was what we were. Every generation that survived did so, because they could fight better than the previous generation. Better weapons. Better tactics. Better strategies. The timeline showed the progression of human warfare. Stone weapons became bronze weapons. Bronze became iron. Iron became steel. Swords and spears became crossbows and catapults. Those became guns and cannons. Each advancement came faster than the last. By the time humans achieved space travel, Minho said, we had fought more than 10,000 distinct wars. We had developed hundreds of different fighting styles. We had written thousands of books about tactics and strategy. We had spent more time studying warfare than any other species in the galaxy has spent on any single subject. He let that sink in. The classroom was completely quiet except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. When the Galactic Council first contacted Earth, Minho continued, they were shocked. Here was a species that had only just achieved faster than light travel, but they had weapons that made council members nervous. Not because the weapons were more advanced, but because humans understood warfare at a level that peaceful species never reached. Scrath looked at his bone knife again. Suddenly, he understood. It wasn't about the weapon itself. It was about the thinking behind the weapon. Humans didn't just make tools. They made weapons. They thought about killing with the same creativity that other species applied to art or music or philosophy. "Let me show you something else," Minho said. The hologram changed to show different human cultures from across Earth's history. Humans developed separately on different parts of Earth. For thousands of years, groups of humans had no contact with each other. They developed different languages, different cultures, different beliefs. He showed various weapons from different cultures. Bows from Europe, atlatls from the Americas, boomerangs from Australia, blowguns from Asia, slings from Africa. Each culture, separated by vast distances and thousands of years, had independently invented weapons to solve the same problem. How do I kill something before it kills me? No matter where humans lived, no matter what resources they had, they all came to the same solution, Minho said. Make weapons. Improve weapons. Teach others to make weapons. This wasn't taught by one culture and spread to others. This was inherent to being human. Taiyang raised his hand. "Professor, should we tell them about the persistence hunting?" "Yes, let's," Minho said. He smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone about to reveal an uncomfortable truth. The hologram showed a human and an antelope on a hot savanna. The antelope was much faster than the human. It could run at speeds the human could never match. But the human started jogging after it. Slow, steady, never stopping. Humans have the best endurance running capability of any land animal on Earth, Minho explained. We sweat to cool down, which means we can run for hours without overheating. Most animals can sprint fast, but they overheat quickly. So early humans would pick an animal and just follow it. Hour after hour. The animal would run away, then rest. The human would keep coming. Run, rest, run, rest. Eventually, the animal would be too exhausted to run anymore. Then the human would walk up and kill it with a stone spear. The alien students stared at the hologram in horror. This wasn't hunting. This was something else. Something patient and relentless and terrifying. We didn't hunt by being stronger or faster, Minho said quietly. We hunted by never, ever stopping. We walked our prey to death. Hannah spoke from the back. My grandfather used to say that humans are the monsters from horror stories. The thing that keeps coming, no matter how many times you knock it down. The hologram showed extinct species. Massive woolly mammoths. Giant ground sloths. Dire wolves. Cave bears. One by one, the display showed how these powerful predators had disappeared from Earth. Humans killed them all, Minho said. Not in battles. Not in fair fights. We trapped them. We hunted them in groups. We poisoned them. We drove. The simulation chamber was the largest room in the Galactic Defense Academy. It could create any environment, any terrain, any weather condition. Today, it showed a dense forest under a yellow sun. Thick trees grew close together, their branches forming a canopy overhead. Streams ran between moss-covered rocks. Birds called from the branches. It looked peaceful and real. 20 students stood in a clearing, listening to Professor Minho give final instructions. Each student wore simple clothing appropriate for wilderness survival. No modern technology, no communication devices, no weapons except what they could make themselves. The exercise is simple, Minho explained. Survive for 72 hours. Travel 40 kilometers to the extraction point marked on your map. You may work alone or in groups. You will be monitored for safety, but we will not intervene unless someone is in actual danger. He held up a small bag for each student. Inside, you will find period-appropriate items from your species' pre-industrial era. Items your ancestors would have had access to before they developed modern technology. Scrath opened his bag. Inside was a simple fire-starting kit made of flint and dried plant material. a coiled rope made from plant fiber, and a water skin. He looked at Minho with confusion. "This is all? Your species evolved natural weapons," Minho reminded him. "Your claws, your teeth, your scales for protection. Your ancestors needed very little. Clycther received similar items. Val got tools for shaping stone through resonance, the way her ancestors had done. Each alien student received items matching their evolutionary advantages. Then Minho came to the three humans. He handed each of them an empty bag. "There's nothing in here," Una said, looking inside. "Correct," Minho replied. "Humans evolved no natural advantages. Your ancestors survived with only their knowledge. So will you." Taiyang grinned. Hannah's expression didn't change. Una nodded slowly. "The simulation begins now," Minho announced. "Good luck." The students scattered into the forest. Most alien students headed directly toward the extraction point, moving at a steady pace. They were confident. 40 kilometers over 3 days was easy. They had natural abilities that would help them. Some could see better in the dark. Some could hear prey from far away. Some could climb trees or dig for water. The three humans went in different directions. Una found a spot near a stream within the first hour. She spent time examining the area carefully. She checked which way the water flowed, looked at the plants growing nearby, observed the animal tracks in the soft mud. Then she began to work. First, she made fire. She gathered dry bark and dead grass, shaped them into a nest, and used friction between 2 sticks to create an ember. She blew gently until the ember caught, then fed small twigs into the growing flame. Within 20 minutes, she had a good fire going. Next, she built a shelter. She found 2 trees growing close together and placed a long branch between them. Then she leaned smaller branches against this main support, creating a triangular frame. She covered the frame with large leaves and moss, making the shelter waterproof. Inside, she spread more dry leaves to create a soft, insulated floor. By nightfall, she had fresh water boiling in a container she wove from bark. She had built 3 different traps in the stream for catching fish. She had a fire, shelter, and a system for getting food and water. She settled into Wait. Taeyang moved constantly through the forest. He didn't build a permanent shelter. Instead, he built weapons as he traveled. He found a straight branch and hardened the tip in fire, creating a simple spear. Then he found flexible wood and made a small bow with string made from plant fibers. His arrows were crude but functional. He moved toward the extraction point, but not in a straight line. Instead, he wandered in a pattern that covered more ground. He marked trees as he went, creating a trail only he could read. He found water sources and noted their locations. He identified edible plants and poisonous ones. He moved like someone who had done this many times before. Hana disappeared completely. The other students saw her enter the forest, but after that, no one could find her. She moved without leaving tracks, without breaking branches, without disturbing the normal patterns of the forest. It was as if she had become invisible. By the end of the first day, the alien students were doing well. Scrath had caught and eaten a small animal using his natural speed and claws. Clycther had found a cave to shelter in. Val had located a mineral deposit and was content. They were making steady progress toward the extraction point. On the second day, things changed. Scrath was hunting. He had found tracks leading to a clearing where several large animals grazed. He moved carefully, using his natural camouflage to blend with the shadows. He got close, ready to pounce, his claws extended. Then a spear flew past his head and struck the largest animal directly through the chest. The animal fell dead. Scrath spun around, shocked. Taeyang stepped out from behind a tree, 80 meters away. He had been standing there the entire time, watching. "Sorry," Taiyang called out. Did you want that one? Scrath's blood ran cold. He had been hunting the animal, but Taiyang had been hunting him. The human had followed him for hours, unseen and unheard, waiting for the perfect moment to demonstrate his superior position. How long were you following me? Scrath asked. Since dawn, Taiyang replied. He walked forward and pulled his spear from the dead animal. You're good at stalking prey, but you focus completely on what's ahead of you. You never check behind. On Earth, we call it being the stalker and the stalked at the same time. Taiyang started building a fire to cook the meat. Want to share? There's more than enough for both of us. Scrath sat down heavily. He had thought himself an apex predator. Now he realized he had been prey all morning and never knew it. Meanwhile, Clycther was trying to reach a section of forest where he had seen fruit trees. The path was difficult, with thick undergrowth and streams to cross. He picked his route carefully, using his multiple legs to navigate the rough terrain. He stepped over a log and heard a soft click. Before he could react, a net made from woven vines snapped up around him, lifting him off the ground. He hung there, suspended 3 meters in the air. Completely trapped, Hana dropped from a tree branch above him. She had been sitting there for 6 hours, watching her trap network. This was the 4th trap that had been triggered, but the first to catch anything. You're not hurt, are you? Hana asked, pulling out a knife made from sharpened stone. She cut the net and helped Clycther down. How did you know I would come this way? Clycther demanded. I didn't, Hana admitted. I set up 12 traps along the likely routes to the fruit trees. I've been watching them all. You happened to trigger this one. She pointed to markers that Clycther hadn't noticed. Small stones arranged in patterns, bent twigs, scratches on bark. Please show me which traps have been triggered. I can monitor all of them from different positions without walking the whole circuit. Clycther looked around more carefully. Now that he knew what to look for, he could see signs of human activity everywhere. Marks on trees. Disturbed soil that had been carefully disguised. Tripwires hidden under leaves. How many traps did I walk past? He asked quietly. 7, Hannah replied. You're actually quite good at avoiding them. Most people would have triggered 3 or 4. The insectoid felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not fear of immediate danger, but fear of how completely outmatched he was. Hana had turned the entire forest into an extension of herself. She wasn't just surviving in the environment. She controlled it. On the 3rd day, the students began arriving at the extraction point. It was a clear area on top of a hill, marked with a flag. Vel arrived first, using her species' ability to sense magnetic fields for navigation. She felt proud. Then she saw the camp. Yuna had been at the extraction point for 8 hours already. She had built a large shelter, gathered 3 days' worth of food, and created a signal fire that produced a tall column of smoke. She sat comfortably beside the fire, cooking fish on a flat stone. How did you get here so fast? Val asked in her chiming voice. I sent up smoke signals yesterday, Yuna explained. Visible for kilometers. I was announcing that I had arrived and was waiting. You were so focused on reaching the destination that you didn't look up to see who was already here. She offered Vel some fish. I've got plenty. The stream down the hill has good fishing. I built permanent traps that will keep catching food even if I'm not there. More students arrived throughout the day. Each one was tired, hungry, and surprised to find Yuna already comfortable and settled. She had beaten them not through speed, but through efficiency. While they focused on traveling, she had focused on establishing a secure position early. When Scrath arrived, he immediately asked, Where's Taiyang? He passed through about 2 hours ago, Yuna said. Didn't stay. Said something about scouting the perimeter. Taiyang was indeed moving around the extraction point in a wide circle. He wasn't just waiting to be extracted. He was making sure the area was secure, checking for threats, identifying escape routes if needed. Even when the mission was complete, he continued operating. Hana was the last to arrive. She emerged from the forest so quietly that several students jumped in surprise. She had approached from downwind, moving between their blind spots, choosing her moment to appear. The classroom felt different now. The same white walls, the same chairs, the same view of three suns through the windows. But the students sat differently. They looked at the three humans with new eyes. Not with fear exactly, but with a kind of cautious respect that hadn't been there before. Professor Minho stood at the front of the class. Behind him, a holographic display showed footage from the simulation. Every student could see themselves moving through the forest, making decisions, solving problems. The humans' footage played side by side with the aliens for comparison. "Let's talk about what happened," Minho began. "Scrath, you hunted well. You used your natural speed and stealth effectively. Your kill rate was high. By all measures, you succeeded at the survival portion of the exercise." Scrath nodded, his scale shifting color slightly with pride. Then Minho played footage of Taiyang following the reptilian through the forest, always staying just out of sight, always watching. "But you were being hunted the entire time," Minho continued. "Taiyang tracked you for 7 hours before revealing himself. He knew everywhere you had been, everything you had done. If this had been real combat, you would have been dead 20 times over and never known the enemy was there." The pride drained from Scrath's expression. He looked down at his claws, the natural weapons he had been so confident about. They meant nothing if he never saw the attack coming. Minho turned to Kleikther. "You navigated difficult terrain excellently. Your multiple legs gave you stability on rough ground. Your compound eyes gave you a wide field of vision. You avoided obstacles and found efficient paths." Then he showed footage of Hana's trap network. 12 traps spread across the forest, each one carefully disguised, each one positioned along a logical path. The footage showed Kleikther walking within meters of 7 different traps, triggering only one. "But the entire forest had been turned into a weapon before you even entered it," Minho explained. Hana spent her first day mapping travel routes and setting traps. She didn't hunt. She made the environment hunt for her. Every creature that moved through that section of forest was walking through her territory, following paths she predicted they would take. Kleikther clicked his mandibles nervously. He had thought himself clever for avoiding most of the traps. Now he realized that walking through 7 traps unharmed wasn't skill. It was luck. "Vel, you reached the extraction point first using your magnetic sense," Minho said. "Your navigation was perfect. Direct, efficient, fast." He showed footage of Yuna's smoke signals from the day before. But someone else had already claimed the objective 12 hours earlier and was advertising it to everyone. While you rushed to be first, Yuna had established a permanent camp with food, water, shelter, and security. In a real scenario, she would have controlled the high ground and could have denied access to anyone arriving later. Vel's crystalline body dimmed slightly. Speed to objective meant nothing if someone else had secured it before the race even began. Minho walked among the students, his voice calm and steady. "I'm not criticizing your performance. Each of you did well. You used your natural advantages effectively. You survived and completed the mission." He paused, letting that sink in. But humans don't have natural advantages. So we had to become good at something else. We had to become good at thinking. The holographic display changed. It showed the 3 humans at the start of the simulation. Empty bags, no equipment, no tools. Then it showed them 6 hours later. Yuna with a full camp. Taiyang with multiple weapons. Hana with a trap network. The transformation was shocking. Every species here evolved to fit a specific niche in their home world's ecosystem, Minho explained. Skrath's ancestors were ambush hunters. They evolved to be the best ambush hunters on their planet. Clyctherus' ancestors were scavengers and tool users. They evolved to be the best at those specific tasks. He gestured to the humans. Human ancestors didn't fill a niche. We couldn't. We weren't fast enough to chase prey. We weren't strong enough to fight predators. We weren't specialized for any particular food source or environment. So instead of becoming perfect at one thing, we became adaptable at everything. A new hologram appeared. It showed humans in different environments. Humans in Arctic snow, wearing furs and building ice shelters. Humans in deserts, covering their skin and traveling at night. Humans in jungles, building houses in trees. Humans on mountains and swamps and grasslands in every possible terrain. Humans spread to every continent on Earth, Minho continued. Every climate, every ecosystem, every environment. We didn't change our bodies. We changed our tools. We changed our clothes. We changed our shelters. We changed our behaviors. In the time it takes a species to evolve thicker fur, humans learned to kill animals and wear their fur instead. Yuna raised her hand. Professor, should I explain about persistence? Please do, Minho said. Yuna stood and faced the class. My grandfather used to say that humans are terrifying because we don't give up. Ever. He told me a story about early humans hunting antelope. An antelope can run 60 kilometers per hour. A human can run maybe 20. The antelope should escape easily. She pulled up footage from Earth, showing a human jogging across a savanna under the hot sun. But humans can run for hours. We sweat to cool down. We drink water as we run. We breathe efficiently. So we would pick an antelope and just follow it. The antelope would sprint away. We would jog after it. The antelope would rest. We would keep jogging. Eventually, after hours of this, the antelope would collapse from exhaustion. Then we would walk up and kill it. The alien student stared at her. Clycther spoke up, his voice uncertain. That sounds like torture, not hunting. It is torture, Yuna agreed. That's what makes it effective. The prey knows we're coming. It can see us. It runs away. But we never stop. We just keep coming. Hour after hour. Day after day if necessary. Until the prey is too tired to run anymore. Taiyang stood next to her. Humans are the monster from every species' nightmare. The thing that cannot be escaped. The thing that keeps coming no matter what you do. We don't need to be strong or fast. We just need to be patient. Hana spoke from her seat, her voice quiet. In combat training, they teach us that humans are unique because we plan. Other species react to threats. Humans anticipate threats before they happen. We prepare for problems we haven't encountered yet. We set traps for enemies we haven't seen. We build defenses against attacks that might never come. Minho nodded. This is the core difference. Every species here thinks in terms of what they are. Skrath thinks I am a hunter with claws and speed. Clycther thinks I am a scavenger with multiple legs and good vision. Vel thinks I am a being of crystal with magnetic sense. He pointed to the three humans. Humans think I am nothing special, so what can I become? We don't accept limitations. We find ways around them. We make tools to extend our reach, weapons to multiply our strength, traps to fight battles while we sleep. We turn our weaknesses into strengths by refusing to accept that we have weaknesses. A student from a species called Dren raised a tentacle. But Professor, we have technology now. We have energy weapons, shields, faster than light travel, medical nanobots. Why does primitive survival matter? We've evolved past the need for stone tools and manual labor. Minho's expression grew serious. That's what I thought too once. I grew up on Earth during a time of peace. I learned to make weapons as a child, the way all humans do, but I thought it was just tradition, just games we played. I thought modern technology had made those skills obsolete. He pulled up new images on the holographic display. Recent news footage. Battle reports. The alien students leaned forward, suddenly alert. 3 months ago, an unknown force emerged from dark space, Minho said. They call themselves the Kreth Empire. They are highly advanced, more so than the Galactic Council in many ways. Their technology is biological in nature. Ships grown rather than built. Weapons, they're living organisms. The footage showed Kreth vessels. They looked organic, like massive creatures floating through space. The students had heard rumors about the Kreth, but seeing them was different. The Kreth have a weapon that disables electronic systems, Minho continued. One pulse from their ships and all our technology stops working. Guns don't fire. Shields don't activate. Ships can't maneuver. Communication goes dead. Our most advanced weapons become useless chunks of metal and plastic. He showed footage of a Galactic Council fleet encountering Kreth forces. The Council ships fired energy weapons, but the Kreth pulse went out. Suddenly, the Council ships drifted, dark and powerless. Kreth boarding parties attacked. The battle was over in minutes. The Council has been fighting the Kreth for 3 months, Minho said quietly. We've lost 40% of our fleet. We've lost 12 colony worlds. Our most elite forces have been routed repeatedly. The Kreth don't just win. They dominate. Skrath stood up. But what about ground forces? If the Kreth can disable our ships, we can fight them on planets. Hand-to-hand combat. My people are natural warriors. Minho showed new footage. Council forces on a planet, fighting Kreth ground troops. The Council soldiers had energy weapons, but the Kreth pulse disabled them. The soldiers tried to fight hand-to-hand. The Kreth Amity world, Minho explained. They're naturally much stronger than M. 6 months later, the Galactic Defense Academy looked different. The training facilities that had once taught advanced weapons, systems and tactical spacecraft maneuvers now hosted different classes. In one field, Vel was learning to build a trebuchet under Yuna's instruction. In another, Kleikthor practiced throwing spears with a nablop while Taiyang corrected his form. Dozens of alien students from different species worked with simple materials, building weapons their ancestors would have recognized. Professor Minho walked through the training grounds, observing the progress. His hair had more gray now. The past 6 months had been hard. He had traveled to 8 different council worlds, training soldiers, teaching civilians, sharing knowledge that humanity had accumulated over thousands of years of constant warfare. Skrath approached him, carrying a compound bow he had made himself. The reptilian's claws made it difficult to use human weapons, but he had adapted the design. His bow used a different draw mechanism that worked with his physiology. It wasn't as powerful as Yuna's bow, but it extended his killing range far beyond what his natural weapons allowed. Professor, I wanted to show you this, Skrath said. He demonstrated the bow's mechanism. I took the human design and modified it for my species. I've taught 50 other reptilians to make them. We're calling it the hybrid pattern. Minho examined the bow carefully. This is good work. You're not just copying human designs anymore. You're understanding the principles and adapting them to your own needs. That's what humans do, isn't it? Skrath asked. You see a problem and find a solution. The solution doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work. Exactly, Minho said. You're thinking like a human now. They walked together toward the main classroom building. Inside, Hana was teaching a class on trap construction to a group of crystalline students. Vel was among them, taking careful notes. The crystalline species had initially struggled with the concept of hidden traps. Their culture valued transparency and direct action. Deception felt wrong to them, but Hannah had explained it differently. A trap isn't deception, she told them. It's preparation. You're preparing the battlefield before the battle begins. You're fighting smarter, not harder. Is it deceptive for a castle to have walls? Is it unfair for a fort to be built on a hill? A trap is just another form of preparation. That reframing had helped. Now, the crystalline students were some of the best trap builders in the program. Their ability to shape stone through resonance allowed them to create trigger mechanisms that were almost impossible to detect. Minho entered his office and found a message waiting. It was from New Terra, the human colony world that had been holding against the Kreth Empire. He opened the message and read the report. New Terra had not only held, they had pushed the Kreth back. After 6 months of continuous combat, the Kreth forces had withdrawn from the planet entirely. It was the first time in the war that the Kreth had been forced to retreat. The report included video footage. Minho watched as human civilians demonstrated the weapons and tactics they had developed. Some were traditional human designs, crossbows, catapults, pit traps. But others were new innovations created specifically to fight the Kreth. One group had developed a type of mine that used no electronics at all. It was triggered by pressure and used compressed springs to launch shrapnel. Simple, mechanical, and completely immune to the Kreth's technology-disabling pulse. Another group had created a weapon that combined multiple principles. It was part trap, part area denial, part psychological warfare. They called it the Patience Gate. It was a corridor filled with dozens of interconnected traps. Each trap that triggered would set off 2 more. Walking through the corridor became impossible. The Kreth would lose soldiers to the traps, back away, and wait. While they waited, humans would add more traps from hidden passages. The corridor became more dangerous every hour. The Kreth had superior strength and speed. But humans had something they couldn't match: creativity born from desperation. Refined over thousands of generations, Minho forwarded the report to the Galactic Council with a simple note. This is what we tried to tell you. Humans don't just survive. We adapt, we innovate, and we never stop. That evening, Minho gathered his students in the main lecture hall. The room was filled with alien cadets from every member species of the Council. Well, the Council, they had all volunteered for the intensive human warfare training program. Some had completed it. Others were still learning. I have news from New Terra, Minho announced. The Kreth Empire has withdrawn from the planet. The siege is over. The humans there have won. The room erupted in cheers and clicking and chiming and other sounds of celebration from different species. Minho waited for the noise to quiet down. I want to be clear about what this means, he continued. New Terra didn't win because humans are stronger than the Kreth. We're not. The Kreth are physically superior to humans in almost every way. New Terra didn't win because of superior technology. The Kreth disabled all our advanced weapons. He paused, looking around the room. New Terra won because the people there refused to accept that they were beaten. When their energy weapons stopped working, they made crossbows. When the Kreth armor proved too strong, they made armor-piercing bolts. When the Kreth changed tactics, the humans changed faster. Every single day, they got better at killing Kreth, and they never, ever stopped. Eunice stood up from her seat. My cousin was on New Terra. She sent me a message last week. She said the Kreth soldiers started showing signs of fear toward the end. The Kreth are predators from a high-gravity world. They've never been afraid of anything in their evolutionary history. But they became afraid of humans. Why? Asked a student from a species called the Ventari. If the Kreth are stronger and faster, why would they fear humans? Tai Yang answered. because they realize that humans don't stop. You can kill a human, but that human's friends will study how you did it and find a counter. You can win a battle, but humans will learn from the loss and win the next one. You can destroy a human city, but humans will rebuild it with better defenses. Fighting humans isn't like fighting other species. It's like fighting an enemy that learns from every mistake and never makes the same mistake twice. Hannah added quietly. The Kreth soldiers called humans the ones who adapt. In their language, it's not a compliment. It's a warning. Minho pulled up a holographic display. It showed a map of the war front. The Kreth Empire had conquered 42 worlds in the first 3 months of the war. In the last 3 months, they had conquered only 2. Their advance had slowed dramatically. The Council has been studying what happened on New Terra, Minho explained. They're implementing the same strategies on other contested worlds. Teaching civilians to make simple weapons. Building trap networks. Using terrain to advantage. Fighting smarter instead of just fighting harder. The map updated, showing small changes across the front. The Kreth were still winning, but the pace of their victories had dropped. In some places, Council forces were starting to push back. This is early yet, Minho cautioned. The war isn't over. The Kreth are adapting too. They're learning to watch for traps, to move more cautiously, to expect ambush. This fight will last years, maybe decades. He looked at his students. But here's what I want you to understand. Every species in this room comes from a different world. You have different strengths, different abilities, different ways of thinking. That diversity is the Council's greatest advantage. The Kreth are united, but they all think the same way. We are diverse, which means we can approach problems from countless different angles. Vel stood, her crystalline body glowing softly. Professor, I have a question. You've taught us to think like humans. To make weapons, set traps, fight without technology. But shouldn't we also remember what we are? My people have abilities humans don't have. Skrath's people have natural weapons. Klykther's people have different perceptions. Shouldn't we use those advantages too? Absolutely, Minho said immediately. I'm not trying to turn you into humans. I'm teaching you to think the way humans think about problems. Take that thinking and combine it with your natural abilities. That's when you become truly dangerous. He showed footage of a recent battle. Council forces had engaged Kreth troops on a low-gravity moon. The Kreth were used to high gravity and struggled with the environment. But the Council forces included species that naturally lived in low gravity. They used crossbows designed by humans but built for low-gravity combat. They set traps that took advantage of the environmental conditions. They combined human tactical thinking with alien physical advantages. The Council forces won decisively. That's the future, Minho said. Not humans teaching others to be human, but humans teaching others to be the best version of themselves. To stop accepting limitations. To innovate. To adapt. To never give up. Skrath raised his hand. Professor, when we started this class, I thought humans were weak. You had no claws, no natural armor, no speed. I pitied you. Minho nodded. Many species feel that way at first. But now I understand, Skrath continued. Humans aren't weak. You're the opposite. Every species here evolved to be perfect at one thing. We became so good at our specialty that we stopped needing to adapt. But